Oh, so yesterday he was at the BET Awards, and I mean, for me, I think it's all win-win because the fact that he didn't pick up the plate doesn't mean that he's not up to the task. Camido represented West Africa, of course, with the likes of Bianca, Ashake as well from Nigeria, so Cameroon, Ghana, as well as Ashake Nigeria. If you ask me, I would say Ashake should have won it. However, I mean, what do you call it? Bianca from Cameroon, took the nod as the Viewer's Choice International Act. Doesn't matter. What matters the most is your music or your art or your craft is being recognized.
That's right.
Outside there. And that means you're putting Africa on the map.
That's right.
Basically. Well, on that note, I say welcome, salam alaikum, jambo, karibu, ekabo, just the way the Yoruba people would say in Nigeria, inkedu as the Igbo people would say in eastern parts of Nigeria. Yeah, the Imo states, the Abia states, the Anambra states. Yeah, they would say inkedu. It means welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
Swahili,
Madase.
the Medasi. Oh, okay, you started picking up.
Hey,
That's a good one. So, in the studios of Africa Global Radio today, Tuesday, the 27th of June, 2023, I have the privilege of having a conversation with Shaka Jamal.
Yes.
He's an Emmy-winning, culturally innovative artist and filmmaker from Oakland, California. He's a founder of Olu 8. Is that it? Olu 8?
Yes, that's it.
Film and Culture and Olu 8 Records. He's also the first filmmaker from Oakland, California to receive the Game Changers Fellowship, which led him to premiere a series of short documentaries in New York at Harlem's Schomburg Center of Research in Black Culture. He's also a 200-hour certified trauma-informed yoga. I had to think deep and wide. Like, what is trauma-informed yoga? We'll get to that conversation in a bit. But Shaka Jamal, welcome.
Thank you.
To Africa Global Radio.
Thank you.
Is this your first time in Ghana?
This is my first time in Ghana.
Really?
The first time in the land of the Black Star.
The gateway to Africa.
That's right.
The land that birthed the man of the millennium. Osagyefo for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
That's right.
The man who had the idea of, you know what? You cannot win until you're united. And
That's
Bob
right.
Marley sang a song about it. What was it? Africa Unite.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. It's good to have you once again.
Hey, thank you.
And welcome to Ghana. Akwaba, as is the lingua franca.
Yeah.
Popularly spoken by the Akans. That's kind of like the major, the largest ethnic group in Ghana. Are you aware of that?
Yes. I didn't know that they were the largest, but that is something I've been hearing a lot since the time I stepped right off the airplane.
It was
Akwaba.
Super. What Shaka? I'm very curious because I know of the legendary, the legend Shaka.
Yeah, Shaka Zulu.
Shaka Zulu, man, that warrior.
Yes.
How did you come about that name?
That was my given name from birth.
For real?
And my parents were traveling through Africa before I was born.
Wow.
And my dad had a friend that worked for Anheuser-Busch. They make Budweiser alcohol, beer. And they had the whole series of African kings and queens.
Wow.
And they would put the Anheuser-Busch Budweiser logo on it. But then they would feature kings like Shaka. Right? He was one of them.
Absolutely.
And my dad maybe had the whole series. And he said my mom was pregnant. He's walking up the stairs and he sees one of the pictures. And Shaka's right there. He was like...
It just resonated.
Yeah, he was like, that's the one right there.
Right. The one is going to be birthed should be named Shaka.
That's right.
After the legend warrior.
That's right.
Absolutely. What did that inform your passion for working and staying in South Africa?
Well, I originally went to South Africa with the U.S. Peace Corps.
Okay.
Right? And the folks who know about the Peace Corps, you cannot choose where you go.
Oh, it's random.
You get a letter in the mail. They tell you where you're going to go. And they say you have 10 days to say yes or no.
Wow.
I got my letter in the mail 2 weeks after I graduated from university at Tuskegee University in Alabama. And it says you're going to South Africa.
And how was the feeling like?
It was like, what are the chances of this happening? Right? Two was a few things. One, they had received their democratic independence probably, I think, just 6 years before, in 93.
93, yeah.
I got the letter in 99.
Okay.
My mother worked with a South African named Tilavali Chavase
All right.
from the Venda tribe of South Africa, who is he was an exiled MK Nkanto Wesizwe soldier for the ANC, who found his way to Oakland. And he had been, a part of my life for a while. So I call him up, I say, they said I'm going to South Africa. Should I do it? He was like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, go for it.
And I said yes. He started teaching me a little bit of Zulu, a little bit. He says there's lots of languages, but if you know Zulu, you can get around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I did serve for 27 months.
Wow.
With the U.S. Peace Corps in South Africa. So it was I know I had the name Shaka, but I never envisioned that I would be living there. And it was a great experience.
Wow. But tell me, how did the journey, basically the dream, living and working in South Africa, tell us, was it about because you love traveling?
Yes, I do.
Was it the traveling, that influenced or helped you grow your passion, or it was basically that experience in South Africa? Because filmmaking, grew into music and all of that.
Well, from a young age, my parents traveled a lot for work, so I traveled with them. Also, my mother was very deep into service. Right? She's, I don't, about some of the black sororities and fraternities. She's part of the Delta Sigma Theta. And a part of them, they have to, their community service organization. So from a young age, I was always out there.
You knew there was some part of you that,
doing that, serving food here, giving tutoring. I was like in middle school. She had me tutoring kids in primary and elementary school. So it was always about giving, because that saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. So that was kind of ingrained in me. And then I started hearing about Peace Corps. So this could be an opportunity for me. After graduating with a bachelor's in history. So I was always studying and reading and learning about African history from my parents and the books that they gave me. Right?
Yeah.
And from some of the travels, my mother had one, the big old school cameras.
JVC.
Yes.
Put them and carried them like what do I call it? Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime with the destroyer.
With the big batteries. My mama had one of those, and I was always playing with it.
Wow.
And one day in my head, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a cinematographer one day.
Okay.
So I started doing photography, and then the photography led to film and video.
Okay.
So it's just been something that's been growing. I think it was just a seed that was planted when I was young.
Right.
And once I stepped foot on the continent, I was like, oh,
there's more.
There's more. Because I felt like it definitely affirmed many of the things that my parents taught me about and our other African friends in the circle.
Right.
But then another thing was like, in terms of some of the education that I was given in school, in terms of what some of the stereotypes might be, I said, oh, I've been lied to.
Right. So before you even step a foot in Africa, you already had a certain, even though your parents knew the goodness about the continent and the greatness of it, you had a certain part of you feeling it's not really a friendly place to be at.
Hey, because sometimes people be like, hey, Africans don't like black people from America.
Oh boy.
They don't like Americans. These type of things.
Yeah.
And these are people who have never
been to Africa, right?
So people start hearing you're going, and they start putting in their 2 cents about everything. But nothing is more beneficial than actually stepping foot on the continent, right? And even for Africans here to be able to step foot in the U.S. and even black cities within the U.S. so that the narrative can change, because much of what we see on mainstream media does not serve black people, it doesn't serve African people, and it doesn't serve poor people, economically poor people, which are the majority of people here on Earth. So it's a game changer.
Super. I mean, you have taken it upon yourself that, changing the life of people, humanity, basically doing good, offering services to the less privileged in our societies and all of that. It's one thing that you're very passionate about, because it's kind of like it was ingrained in you right from birth. Your mother have you doing this, have you doing that. So, but fast forward, you continue those partnerships, right, with corporate organizations, body that's basically looking out for the goodness of humans.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the things you look out for before you even tell a story, right? Because you tell stories through videography, filmmaking, and all of that.
Yes.
What are some of the things you consider before you consider this is worth telling to the world?
If it's through word of mouth, I want to know not only the impact that it's making, but who are the people that are there? What makes the people who they are?
Right.
Like, what is their drive and what is their purpose and what makes them do what they want to do? Because sometimes things can be very self-serving.
True.
So I think I tend to focus on something that has greatest impact for the masses and the people around. There may be one person in the center, but how
does it connect? How does it link to others to benefit? Right.
Yes. What is the quality of that circle built around it? So that's one of the things that I focus on. Impact.
Right. Interesting. We're having a conversation with Shaka Jamal. I mean, he already has the name. It's just a sign of greatness. He continues to do great work right here on the continent of Africa. An Emmy-winning, culturally innovative, and filmmaker. Emmy-winning.
Yes.
What year did you win that?
So maybe that was 2020. I think that was during COVID. So
a lot of people won during COVID. they identified a lot of things, and it actually uprooted the what you call the powers, the superpower that they have.
Yes.
Okay, during COVID.
During COVID, it was a film I had been working on 2018, 2019 as a camera operator. It was a HBO funded documentary about the MLK, or the Martin Luther King Oratory Contest, going on in Oakland, California.
Right.
That's been going on for 30, 40 years.
Wow.
So they found out about it, and they're like, oh, the anniversary is coming. We need to focus on that. And one day I get a call from a producer. They're like, hey, we hear you're a filmmaker. You want to be a part of this film?
Wow.
I was like, cool. I said, how'd you find my number? They were like, I don't know. We've just called so many people.
You happen to
you picked up. And I usually don't pick up calls
from strange numbers and all.
From strange numbers. They're trying to scam me or something like that. And that day, I picked it up. So we worked, I think, off and on for a couple of years. And I played mostly camera op, but anything they needed around Oakland, I was able to, be of service.
Right.
Next thing I know, I hear we got nominated.
Wow.
For the film.
Wow. What's the title of the film?
Dream. Oh my God.
Too many works in the too many works. Don't worry about that. But yeah,
I think it's something about the dream and kids of the MLK Oratorical Fest.
Wow. How was that feeling?
Oh, it felt great. Just for, when you get to that Emmy, you get to the Grammy, Oscars.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm actually doing something. So not to say to minimize anything else, but it's a reflection in and a record,
the potential that you have, and your work speaks for itself.
Yes.
And maybe we have an E already. Maybe GOAT. The GOAT will be coming in soon. The Grammys and the Oscars and maybe the Tonys. We're looking forward.
The GOAT. Nice,
the ego.
Nice.
I mean, Viola Davis is already an ego holder. So maybe you could be the fourth person in line, first black person. It's gonna happen.
Hey, I'm gonna work on that.
Definitely. So let's also talk about, your visit to Ghana. This is your first time in Ghana.
First time in Ghana.
Why did you choose to visit Ghana at this time?
So, I'm working with an organization called Elevated Legacy that's based in Oakland.
Okay.
That's run by a brother named Chris Pearson, who's a basketball coach, but he's also an acupuncturist. Right. He's initiated in the Chinese medicine tradition.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, when COVID hit, once again, we're back at COVID, he knew that there was something that Black men needed.
Right.
Right. So during that time, we had Saturday workouts. We would all come together and work out outdoors. And then Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m., we have Black men's hikes. So throughout that time, we just fellowship together in the outdoors, doing that work. And it's around late 2020, he was like, we're going to go to Ghana in 3 years, in 2023. I was like, that's far away. I wasn't even...
You've been thinking about it.
one of the brothers on the hikes, his name is Echo. Who,
Okay.
he lives part-time in the U.S., part-time here, who's Ghanaian.
Okay.
Invited us through.
Okay.
To come through. So he's been showing us around. And throughout that time, we've been working with an organization called the Social Drive Foundation that are based in Takoradi.
Western region. Great.
Yeah. So what they do, they offer free summer camps or free camps to kids in basketball.
Okay.
And soccer.
Right.
So Chris was a part of building with them with another basketball coach named Brittany from Oakland and some other coaches from Georgia.
Right.
All Black Americans. We decided to come out, and I have some multiple skills. So they say, hey, maybe you can film some stuff.
Right.
So I'm there filming the camp, working with Yusuf behind you.
Shout outs to Yusuf with the dumbbell and going back and forth. Good one.
And I was also able to share with them segments of my new film called I Am Hope, which is about a meditation, mindfulness, yoga program that I led in Oakland for a few years at one of the local middle schools. So we were actually able to tap into the importance of our breath. Because through breath, all life is possible.
Absolutely.
Once you have life, you can fulfill your purpose and your destiny. Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why I do the work that I do. It's because I feel like it's aligned with my purpose and the destiny. For me, sometimes it doesn't even feel like work.
It's just passion. It's just you fulfilling your mission.
Yes, because I had so many people pour into me as a youngster. I was like, okay, I have something to pour back into the cup that's been poured into my cup.
Great.
And we talked about, there was young people from the ages of maybe 10, 11 to about 13, 14. What is your purpose in life? What calls you to do what you do? Yeah. And how does your breath affect all of that?
Wow.
So I give them a perspective of how important the breath is. So I'm going to ask you, how long can the body last without food?
How long? Okay, so first of all, let me put it this way. I'm a Muslim. So I know Christians fast too, but fasting is something that we do regularly. Right, yeah. Today, as I'm speaking to you, I'm fasting because tomorrow is Eid al-Adha. So when you go to Mecca, it's a day that they're actually climbing what we call the Arafat, the mountain, the historical mountain, of course. So how long? For me, I can go 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or let's say 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's like half a day, 12 hours, right? Yeah. So that's the max I can go.
But the human body itself, how long can it go without touching food and stay alive?
Oh, man. I think not more than 24 hours.
Not even close.
Not even close?
Not even close.
Really?
Without food. You can go a month. You can go a month.
Without food?
Without food.
Okay, so there's water?
Okay, now this is the next question. How long can you go without water?
Nada. Without water, 12 hours.
12 hours?
I think so.
Oh.
I mean, I'm based on my experience of staying away from food religiously.
Say if you had no choice.
Without water?
Without water.
There's food? Oh, no food, no water.
No food, no water. No food, but no food, no water. How long can you last?
To be honest, I don't even know what to say because I've never been in that situation before.
At least 4 or 5 days you can last.
Really? Okay.
Okay. People like the Buddha, Jesus, the prophets.
They've done it.
They say they can go 6, 7 days. That's not moving in meditation. You just focus. Right?
Right.
Those gifted people.
That was,
How long can you go without breathing?
15 minutes? 15 is too much. Yeah, maybe 15 minutes.
No. Maybe the most trained can go 6, 7, 8, maybe.
Okay.
But the average person can't hold their breath for more than a minute or two.
No, did I say 15 minutes? No, not 15 minutes. Breathing? Yeah, you're right. Maybe
like a minute or
2 minutes. Yeah, maybe a minute or two.
So with that in mind, we say the breath is the most important thing that we have in this life. The first thing we do when we're born from our mother's womb
is to breathe.
We breathe, we inhale. And the last thing we do before we leave this earth, we exhale.
Right.
So there are people who are masters at breathing.
Right.
The way going 3 or 4 days without food and water will affect them differently than the average person who has never fasted because they're just practicing it. They know how to cultivate their breath. If you know how to cultivate breath, you can cultivate life. When you can cultivate life, you can see things that other people can't see for yourself, and
And
for
for
all
others around you.
Right, sorry, and make that impact.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
You have to think about the great prophets who lived across the land, the people who know medicines in the forest. They say this tree, you combine those together, you can cure this.
Cure this, yeah.
These people were connected to breath. They were connected to the importance of water, to the earth, to the sun. All these are giving us information.
Right.
But there's so many distractions in this world. And then you add these things, cell phones, television, right? Propaganda from governments to make you see what they want you to see instead of what is our birthright as human beings.
Right.
So this is how deep it can go. There's breaths that can cool you down. They have the Buddhist monks up there in the Tibetan mountains who can melt ice just by sitting on it.
Wow.
And dry a wet blanket when it's 0 Celsius or something like that, right? Or if you're too hot, it can cool you down. So, but I only have 15 minutes to have with each group of kids.
Wow.
So I was only able to so I asked them about food, water, and breath, just to give them perspective of how important it is.
It is to them.
And that's the foundation. And through that, anything becomes possible.
Wow.
So in the film, you get a chance to see how the kids were introduced to these concepts, how they resisted it, and how they took it on as their own. So the kids in Takarati saw about 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes of the film. We talked about it. You know, we had prizes, we had T-shirts and stuff like that based upon who was engaged. So it was deep. We not only talked about sports, basketball, and soccer, but like, what is life about? And what are you going to do? Because, you know, even the best soccer players and basketball players can only play for so long professionally.
Oh, yeah. After a certain period, you're done.
Your life is bigger than all of that.
Absolutely.
And your impact can be bigger than that, too. So it's just been great to be with the youngsters and, you know, talk to the people leading the foundation, like Brother Daniel, who leads the Social Drive Foundation.
Right.
I got to shout out him because he actually wrote my invitation letter for my visa.
Oh, wow.
So without him, me and the whole group wouldn't even be able to go. So I'm hoping that sometime some of those kids in Takarati can come to Oakland, can come to Atlanta, Georgia, and see what it's like for us on this side. And then they can come back here and be like, hey, everything they told us is...
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Wow. Life is... It just brings me to that, you know, affirmation that life is much more bigger than what you're doing. It's just not about you, but it's about people around you as well. Because whatever you do has an, you know, effect on them. Yes. Positively or negatively, you know, but what basically needs to be done is for you to identify yourself and understand the purpose of life, I think. Because I believe a lot of people do not even know the reason why they're even on earth, right? They don't understand the basic importance of the little elements of life they have or they are privileged to. Hence, it's just, you know, I just want to live. I'm up in the morning. I'm well, and that's it. Someone is in the hospital looking for that breath that you have for just a minute.
One more hug.
You know?
With their mother.
You know?
Or their father,
you know?
or their brother
You know?
or sister.
And it's missing. And that brings me to my next conversation. Mother, father, brother. You're on a trip with your son or sons.
Two
of them.
Sons.
I mean, it must take a certain level of closeness with your sons. I mean, recently we observed the Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, belated.
Thank
you.
Thank you. You too. I don't know.
I'm a father. A proud one. Super. It must take a certain level of, you know, connection, deeper. Of course, you're that kind of person who thinks within, you know, whatever that's within you. There's that spiritual aspect of it. It must take a certain level of closeness for you to travel with your son. These parts in Ghana, well, some actually want to take cover when they see the father coming up. Like, yo, you better take cover. Is he around? Is he gone? Like, yeah, hooray. But, you know, it's not entirely the same out there, maybe in the US and other Western places. How do you manage that, being a friend and being a father, you know, generally to provide the supports that your sons need?
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it without the help of their mother.
Okay, absolutely.
Right. Her name is Sayoko. So she's been can't do it.
Right.
You know, without, and can't do it in the way in which we are doing it right now. So she provides that balance, the things that I, you know, might miss out on. She provides that other perspective.
Right.
You know, sometimes I have to check my ego on some of the things, you know, but the kids, my young one, He's not shy to
Express himself.
Yeah, if he doesn't like something,
He says it out,
or he likes something. So I think it's learning how to have open communication with them. Let them know that I'm their father, but they should be open to be able to communicate. So I'm letting them know I'm navigating this life with them.
With them,
and there'll be a certain point of time they'll have to navigate it mostly on their own.
Right.
So everything I try to tell them is like, this is a preparation for this time
right.
that is coming, where you're going to have to make your own choices and decisions.
Right.
But I tell you, being here, I've become more patient, I think, in these last couple of weeks, being with them. I don't know if it's just being out of my regular environment, but it slowed me down a little bit. And I'm observing them more than running
to see
my mouth.
what their response would be. Or normally this is not daddy, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be something that's running through their mind. Like, okay, so he's taking a different shape now. Is he adapting to the Ghanaian environment or what? But I think it's all good. It's all for you to evaluate, the differences, like you said, not your regular place. It's not your regular habitat. You're in a different space now. So you'd wanna take a step back and be the one observing things. Okay, how does it play out? How does it play out? Right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I think at home it's more easy for me to say, hey, I know what's going on.
Yeah, I can take charge.
Here and I'm like, okay,
let's chill.
Let's chill. I gotta observe more.
True.
You know, so Chris, who were on the trip with Chris Pearson, who, helped invite me here.
Right.
Along with his good friend Echo, who was long on the trip and taking us all around, said you have 2 eyes to see, 2 eyes to hear, 2 nostrils to breathe with, and 1 mouth.
Right.
So you should be doing twice as much of those other things as talking. So that's something we talked about on the trip. So I was just like, okay, I'll use my other senses to ground myself.
Right. Super. 200-hour certified trauma-informed yoga. We only know of yoga instructors. I don't know about 200 hours certified. I don't know about that.
So there's different levels. I think there's 200, 500, 1,000.
Okay.
That's they have a certification process that all yoga teachers can be a part of that just says this person has been trained, by a professional.
Right.
But these practices are thousands and thousands of years old. This is just a more modern way of categorizing us. Trauma informed. That is a way of connecting with people, a way of teaching, a way of leading that doesn't trigger people. It doesn't trigger maybe past traumas and dramas of their life, right? It might be the tone in which you speak. It might be the words which you choose to address people. For one thing, the way I'm taught, we're taught to teach yoga without touching people.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't know how much you know about yoga, but sometimes
these spots is not really, the popular, activity that people would get into, but I think it's becoming a thing now. That people are more, experiencing every now and then. I want to go do yoga because it makes me connect to my inner being.
Yes.
Spirituality, it's kind of like a bridge.
Yes.
It's actually resonating with most folks right now.
Yeah, and it's someone anybody can practice, young, old, whether they're traditional African religions, Christianity, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist. It's something that everyone can partake in because we all breathe.
Absolutely.
Right? For the most part, some of us can move our bodies more than others. But no matter, you might have seen some type of acrobatics people do.
That one.
But it all boils down to the breath. So what happened in these ancient times, these priests and priestesses learn how to exercise their body and breathe so that they could sit down for long periods of time in meditation for days so that they could receive these messages and teach. And it's a tradition that's really been held and spread throughout the world by India. But it's also an African tradition. If you see many of the paintings on the pyramids in Egypt, and ancient Kemet,
there are elements of
so there's a Egyptian and Kemetic style yoga that people are practicing now all around the world, which is more of a recognition of the African centered based yoga. But any traditional place around the world where people honor their ancestors, right? Where people know how to commune with the land and the elements. Anywhere there are pyramids around the world, in Africa and Asia, Central South America, these people were practicing a form of yoga.
Yoga. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And yoga just means unity.
Okay. From which language?
Sanskrit in India.
Oh.
So that's a Sanskrit word.
Yoga.
Yoga.
Wow. Means unity.
Unity. To yoke or to pull together. Right?
Great. Super. Interesting. I mean, it's not that bad. So, I mean, we thought it was just kind of like, I mean, some over here in Ghana, other parts will feel like, okay, it's a practice for the rich, for the well-to-do. You know, because, I mean, an average person, like, why would I want to go do yoga? I'd rather go into the gym and, you know, get on some dumbbell and I'm good to go. But it resonates now. Some people, even on an average, would want to go listen to what's it's being said about them within.
Yes, that's
You've
right.
got those voices speaking to you. How do you connect? What's the answer? The spirituality. I mean, it basically takes you to the spiritual realm, which some people feel doesn't exist. It does until you listen to yourself, and like you said, listen to the breath.
That's right.
It's basically that. Amazing. Tell us a bit about your foundation, Oluwait. Why Oluwait? Oluwait. Is that like a stylish way of saying Oluwait?
So Olu.
Sounds Nigerian.
It is. It is.
Okay.
So I have all these African connections. This one is specifically Nigerian Yoruba connection.
Okay.
So where I was born, my parents had a Nigerian friend who's like my uncle now.
Okay.
My Uncle Tele.
Okay.
Yeah, Uncle Tele Doku.
Okay.
So he
shout out Uncle Tele Doku.
Shout out. I got to send him a copy of this.
Right.
So he taught my parents how to do a traditional Yoruba naming ceremony. So there's a kind that is done by the priest, by the babalaos.
Yeah, the babalao. Yeah.
So there's others that are done by family members can just do for themselves. So he taught my parents how to do it.
Right.
And then he gave me the name Olusegun.
Oh, Olusegun. No Obasanjo. Maybe we might add Obasanjo and maybe make you the next president.
And that's a big responsibility right there.
Great. Olusegun.
Yes.
Great.
So Olu is short for that name. And then 8 is like my lucky number. You know, symbol of infinite growth. So I put those two together and I started Olu 8.
Wow. That's great. That's great. I mean the inception, the storyline behind is powerful. Wow, All the Way Foundation. So and then now you've added music. Do you do music as well?
Yes, I mostly do a lot of producing and writing and arranging. So I've been working with some groups in South Africa, a group called Roots 2000, which is a combination of 2 Afro soul pioneers from like the early and mid 2000s in South Africa named MXO and Slick Angel. They were deep in Afro pop and Afro soul, and I met them while I was living in South Africa for the first time.
Right.
So we've been working on some albums for their solo projects and as their group projects. So those are the most recent ones.
Okay.
But just here yesterday, with my brother Yusuf here, we shot a music video for a solo project for myself. So I've been working with other artists in the U.S. and in Africa, but I've never like worked on my own solo project.
So you did that here in Ghana?
We did that here. I recorded the song like 2 days before I left. And I was like, I think I got to shoot something here.
Yeah.
And then I was blessed to meet Yusuf, and he's a visionary. You know, he knows
what needs to be done, and what he knows the elements that actually brings out the creative out of whatever you want to do.
And we speak the same language.
Great. So what language do you speak? Local language now?
Well, we speak film language.
Okay. That technical film language. So he goes like, okay, so from this angle, you go like, that angle.
Yeah.
From the top.
So South Africa, I was able to learn a little bit. More so when I was living. I've forgotten a lot of it. But some of the basics, I can still understand some Tonga language. They're like one of the Nguni tribes there, of like Zulu, Xhosa, Ndebele, Siswati. They're amongst those right there.
Wow. I mean, it's good to have you. It's been amazing. I mean, what can you say about the current music trend in Africa? I mean, it's crazy.
It's, when I first was able to travel to Africa, I was 22. And I'm like, this music. How can people hear it?
Yeah, right.
So the group and Black American brothers that I was with there, we did our best to interact and create music. But there really wasn't a space for it at that time.
Right.
So to see it now and what's happening, to see that Afro beats, I'm a piano, some of the fastest growing, most popular music in the world.
Genre.
Hey, it's beautiful.
Right.
I tell you, in Oakland, once a month, they have an Afro rave. Playing
Wow.
Afro beats and I'm a piano all night long.
Wow.
They even fly out artists. Right?
Mm.
Like it is happening. Almost every major U.S. city, there's an Afro beats and I'm a piano party going on at least once a week, once a month.
Wow.
So see it, hey, is beautiful.
Beautiful. Wow.
You know, and there's so much, you know, there's some hip hop elements in there.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of reggae and dance hall elements.
True that.
You know, so I hear a lot of the islands in Jamaica.
The Caribbeans,
Yeah, when I hear the music too. So for me, it's like that's black music.
Right.
And to see black music like at the top
rising.
now, being recognized at the BET Awards,
the Grammys
MTV,
now. There's a category
Grammys.
for the African, you know, music category. A lot of genres under that, and I think the speed at which the Afro beats, you know, rose to the top is just it's crazy, you know. And now everybody wants to have a piece of the Afro music.
Yeah,
the Drake, the Rick Ross, the Beyoncés, who did an entire album.
Yes.
Featured most of the top artists in Africa, you know? And
Shaka Jamal Redmond was on that
Shaka Jamal was on there, you know?
That one is heat that she got.
Crazy,
she got with him.
Yeah, so amazing.
Ceasefire from South Africa.
But Ceasefire from South Africa, you know, all of these folks. And I think we're there. It's just a matter of time, right? And now you can gladly and boldly say that African music is the new-ish in town.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The new boss in town.
No doubt about it.
No doubt. Great. So when are you leaving?
Tonight.
Oh, really? So we were fortunate to have you then.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, Shaka Jamal has been our guest here. He's an Emmy-winning culturally innovative artist and filmmaker from Oakland, California. He's also into music. He has a foundation. Always, we're looking to have an extension of the foundation here in Ghana and other parts of Africa.
Okay.
That should be possible.
Yes.
Because the reach out, the intention is for the good of humanity.
That's right.
You know, and we're looking to see the work of Oluwe trickle down, because at the end of the day is meant to emancipate, is meant to support, is meant to provide guidance.
And look, not even trickle down, trickle up.
Okay.
Because we starting with the people.
Okay.
Because we know traditionally things don't tend to trickle down from the top when you know reach the government settings.
Okay. So we want to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Trickle up.
Trickle up.
Right. It's like rainfall, rain up.
You start with the people, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Not just speaking for people speaking for themselves.
Right.
You know, not waiting for someone to give them something, but actually people are empowered to do for themselves so that they can even give to others.
To that.
You know?
Your final words to anyone listening to a yoga professional like you, a filmmaker, one who, you know, tells the stories of people who are in need, people who need guidance, because there are millions of people out there living, just living, for the purpose of the fact that they have breath every morning, their heartbeats is just beating, but they need a certain light, you know. As one who is really immersed into the development of humans, of beings, of the black people, what would you say?
Well, one of the main things I learned in South Africa was Ubuntu.
All right.
Right? I am because we are. A person is a person because of other people.
Absolutely.
It's that we are here, you know, because of our ancestors and the work and the sacrifices that they made.
Right.
So we have to take time out each and every day to separate from all the distractions, to give honor to ourselves, our destinies, and to those who paved the way for us. Even if it's 2 minutes, just say, I'm going to take a pause. Now I can look at my cell phone, no other distractions. And I think that will ground us. We start receiving messages that we need to fulfill our purpose and make that impact.
Right.
I also feel like one of the main reasons I got into filmmaking and music was to tell a story that I felt wasn't told. Right. I was like, how many Black Americans get a chance to come to Africa? And not just for a 2-week vacation, to actually live. So I was surrounded by other people who had those similar experiences. I said, oh, we got something to share. Right? So if you have a story to tell by any means necessary, figure out a way to tell your story. If you don't have a camera, you write it down. maybe it comes in a book form.
Right.
And then you can find a filmmaker to help transfer that book into a movie.
Oh yeah.
But if you got one of these with a camera on it,
make a change.
You could film something on that. You know, so that's the thing about, we didn't have these really. They weren't doing what they were doing more than 25 years ago when I, first stepped foot on the continent. Right? This is a lot of power right here.
Right.
And we have the power to not only create it, but to put it up into the internet to connect with people.
Other people.
All over. So I know we got to go. We have a song with my group, Roots 2000. And it has an artist named Rantaboko from Zimbabwe, but also Luciano from Jamaica.
Luciano?
Yeah.
The prophet
I got to share with y'all with some music.
Yeah.
You know, I can send you an email.
True.
But he says this thing that, this has been, so deep here, being in Ghana, the Elmina Castle we visited, in Samanso, outside of Takoradi, Slave River.
Right.
He said, the slave trade scattered us all around the world in order to break us up.
Yeah.
Take away that unity, that yoga.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what he says now, because they did that and trying to break us apart, they have created like a global human internet.
Right.
That now we can
reach out,
all
connect.
Over. And there is a representative of us in all these different continents.
Yeah.
And now we can say, now we can bring, even though they scattered us, we now have
a unified way of getting to one another.
Super. We can do that through modern technology, but we can do it through ancient technology at the same time now. So he talks about that in the song. So it's an exciting time right now.
Absolutely, especially for an African and people of African descent.
That's right.
It's a great one. Proud to be one, and I believe is it always going to get better. Shaka Jamal.
I could talk to you all day.
I know.
You got me inspired.
Creative person, filmmaker, Emmy-winning man, certified yoga instructor. Maybe potential president of Nigeria. Olusegun, maybe Obasanjo. Thank you very much for coming.
For sure.
And we're looking forward to having more conversation with you. As you said, we don't necessarily need to be in the same space.
Yes.
We can reconnect again when you fly back to Oakland, California.
I'm going to stay in contact.
And maybe, one day we could just wake up one morning and just take a first flight down to Oakland. And you know what?
Now.
We got to go out and explore.
Come the home of the Black Panthers. And
absolutely,
We got history to share.
The brother is there to represent us, and we are coming again. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of having a conversation with Shaka Jamal. I am Barry, and this is where we bring it to a close. But before that, let me play something from Shatta Wale and Beyonce. They call it Already.